What's going on YouTube? It's Matty with FusaroFitness, and I'm here just to give you a couple of holiday tips to make sure you don't get fat. I know a lot of times we get tempted to eat all these foods and there's nothing wrong with that, but there are some ways to avoid gaining those unwanted pounds, so I'm going to give you a couple of tips. Tip number one is going to be eat before you go out. If you're going to a family member or a friend's house, don't show up to the house starving. That will just encourage you to eat more. Just because there's going to be a lot of food there doesn't mean you can't have breakfast or have something before you leave the house. Don't show up starving. Tip number two, consciously focus on eating your food, because the more you start eating while you're talking and eating at the same time, you're really unaware of the fact that you're even consuming food. This can definitely lead to overeating. Pay attention to the food on your plate. Chew each bite and then start talking and engaging in conversation. Don't eat while talking. Tip number three, limit your food choices. I understand there is going to be a whole bunch of different foods there, but keep in mind a lot of the foods that are there are just for show. People like to cook and bake a whole lot of foods just to give you a variety. That doesn't mean consume all of them. If there's going to be something as simple as chocolate chip cookies that you can eat any day of the year, avoid those types of foods. Stick to the specialty items that you only see during the holidays and eat those in moderation. Tip number four is going to be load up on your fiber and vegetables and consume a lot of water. A lot of times when you think you're hungry, you're really just thirsty. I'm sure if you downed a tall glass of water before eating, you wouldn't be able to consume as much food. And again, fill your plate up with the green vegetables and salads before you go on to the main dishes to get a little feeling of fullness and more satisfied, rather than just load your plate up with a whole bunch of unwanted stuff. Tip number five, use a smaller plate so you could focus on smaller portions. A lot of times, if you have a big plate, you will be tempted to fill it with a whole bunch of different things because there's room left on the plate. If you have a smaller plate, you're only able to grab enough food to cover that plate. Remember, guys and girls, no one is holding a gun up to your head forcing you to eat these kinds of food.
If you don't eat this type of food, you won't live to see 2013.
So that's just a couple of simple holiday tips, again, in order to not overeat during Christmas break or whatever holidays you're celebrating, or really for any occasion for that matter. But also keep in mind, do not avoid foods just because. When beautiful girls like this slave over the kitchen and the oven all day long, making all these meals for us, don't just avoid them because you feel like they're dirty foods, they don't fit into your diet. By all means, enjoy the holidays and enjoy the food and all the hard work that the people put into cooking these dishes and spending hours and days and money and time making sure that you guys have a good meal, but just keep things under control. It's all about being in the right company and having a good time.
Have fun, eat up, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.